Yeah, if you want to talk about a place where you want to live, like a place where people are, well, how would you define like a place that's, where you would like to live? Like what would be your ideal parameters for a place to exist? I don't have a family, but and that's like a whole other story, but as a single individual, like where would you what type of environment is it that you desire? You know, probably some place where people are like, you know, have a degree of respect or like a knowledge of, what's going on around them. But yeah, I will tell you definitively, I have in the past month gone. I've gone the pretty much a distance to circumnavigate the globe 1.5 times, and I've done this all in the area where they say that this shit is going on. Like, I mean, yeah, I went to downtown Los Angeles, like, not long after the first thing happened. Didn't see shit. I drove around after, aside from that, on a different day for 8 hours around the entire county of Los Angeles. I didn't see shit. I didn't see a single arrest. I didn't see a single roadblock. I didn't see a single checkpoint. I didn't see a single ICE or DHS vehicle. I drove 2,000 miles all along the West Coast to every city that has been that had troops deployed to it or has some big hoopla about ICE or the military. And in this entire time, I'll be completely honest, the only thing I've seen is one Black Hawk helicopter, which most likely belonged to the National Guard that was looking for a missing hiker or something of that nature. I have not seen any evidence that ICE or DHS or whatever exists. I haven't found a scrap of evidence, not even a dropped business card or anything. The only things I've seen are on video, and it's like it does not exist in reality. It exists as like pixels on a screen, and it makes people so enraged that they do these attacks, these sniper attacks, or like I don't know. I don't keep up to date with it. Has there been any since I've been?
There hasn't been any new ones yet.
No new ones yet. Okay, so I am kind of up to date, but it's like, for instance, like the guy that went and did the sniper attack on the facility. Where was that again? Jamie, bring that up.
Uh,
I don't.
Victoria.
I don't fucking know is a good response because I don't either. And but whoever that was, they went to a rooftop of something with like a 30-06 and like just started hammering away, just pegging these vehicles driving by. And like I've gone, I was went to Los Angeles, like downtown, when the thing first started, when they called in the Marines, when they called in ICE, when it became the riot or protest or whatever. I've never seen a protest, never seen a riot, never seen the military, never seen ICE, never seen DHS, not a single time, not once, Not one time. I went thousands of miles from Mexico to Canada, all along the West Coast. I stopped in all these cities where this is supposed to be happening: Sacramento, San Francisco, Portland, whatever. And it's like there's nothing. There's nothing. Because when I cross, if you cross from like Nevada or any state, Nevada, Arizona, Oregon, whatever, into California, you will hit a checkpoint where they check for like fruit and things of that nature. And like crossing this border, like it's always staffed. Like in my entire life, I've many, many, many times, maybe dozens of times, I've been stopped at this checkpoint where they check you for fruit, but obviously it gives them like a reason to check for other things. Like if you're smuggling drugs or guns or humans or whatever. I pull up to this fucking checkpoint. It exists. It's a physical construct, and there's nobody there. It says checkpoint is closed for today. Please just proceed. Well, it seems kind of silly to have a checkpoint to stop people from bringing in the reason ostensibly is fruit, because they had that fruit fly thing back in the 80s or whatever. And it's like, what does it matter? Like if you have a checkpoint set up to stop illegal immigrants or gun trafficking or whatever, and you just shut it down for an entire day or multiple days, and you don't staff it, and people are just driving through, like, why have it to begin with? Because all it takes is one piece of fruit to get in that's diseased or carries like fruit flies or whatever. The problem is to, you know, destroy the entire economy of the state. So it's obvious bullshit. Obvious bullshit. And then, yeah, I would go to Portland, like, say it's a war zone, right? Trump said it was a war zone.
It's true. There's a war zone.
It's
Like that.
a go to a war zone and then go over there and tell me that's a war zone, because I've seen some messed up stuff in my life, and it's not remotely equatable. In fact, I go up there and like, you know, I'm thinking this is going to be a living hell. This is going to be full of these like trannies and communists and liberals, and they're just going to never shut the fuck up. And it, yeah, it was not like that at all. Like, people are very friendly, like normal. Like, maybe I don't, their lifestyle is not comparable to mine, or their beliefs, or whatever. But at a basic level, they're like decent human beings. I never thought I would say this in my life, but it's true. It's true because you go up there and it's like, you go into like a store, restaurant, or like whatever, and people are just like friendly, talkative, happy, cheerful. I mean, despite their politics or how fucked up they are, like whatever. I love these people. I never thought I would say that. You know, I was freaked out at first to be amongst these people, but it's like, you know,
Like very like it's a really different experience.
yeah. I mean,
In like Chattanooga.
yeah. Like if you're going, okay, you want to call a war zone a war zone? It's like, go to Portland and go be around those people, whatever their proclivities are, whether they're trannies or like whatever, furries, you know, or something that is unpalatable to the general public. I don't care, because they're decent people. They're industrious, even. It's like they're taking, I mean, you could call it gentrification or whatever, but they're taking these shithole places in these cities. They're making like quality products, like they're providing quality service. Everything from a liquor store to a hotel You get greeted with a smile and positive, warm, like, you know, and it's like you go to some other place, and it's just not like that. Not like that at all. And I go around, I've like been in like the worst areas. I mean, the worst areas. Like I've been in staying in Hayward, like by San Francisco, and people who like are not familiar with this place, they'll like not know what I'm talking about. But it's like I go to New York City and meet this young lady who's from Santa Cruz, and she invites me to some house party, and I forget what she said, something that brought me to where I said, yeah, I've been to these before, or like I've hosted one or whatever, like up in Hayward, and it's been like complete chaos, so I didn't know what to expect coming here. When I just say the word Hayward, her eyes, whoosh, like just like headlights on a car, just fucking. Oh my god! Like I can't believe that. Like what? Because it's a war zone. That's a real war zone. That's where bullets are flying over your head. That's where people are trying to kill you. That's where you're getting scoped out, stalked, murdered, raped, killed. I have not yet heard of Donald Trump deploying troops to Hayward or Oakland or Detroit or what's the other one? What's the other one? Where's Freddie Gibbs from? Gary, Indiana. These places are fucked. Baltimore, Maryland. These are war zones. These are where people they have a murder rate that's like 50 times like the national average or whatever. People die every fucking day. Nothing. But these places like Portland, I'm gonna single out, is it's so nonviolent. Like from what I've seen, like I really expected there to be like Antifa on the street where like I'd have to watch like getting clocked with a bike lock, and I'd be uh like looking over my shoulder because of what I believe or my political affiliation or something I said or whatever. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. It's like I went and keep in mind that I'm not just going through these nice areas. Whether it's New York, Los Angeles, Portland, or any other place. I'm going out of my way when I see police lights, when I see a roadblock or whatever, I'm going over there. I'm going to look for these protests. I'm going to look for these riots. I'm going to look for these arrests, these whatever, DHS, ICE, anything. Can't find it. Cannot find it. Not a single. Nothing. Nothing. I've spent in the past 2 weeks. I've spent probably like 200 hours, like just trying to get myself into a position where I can like you know see something like this, because it's as weird as being told that Ukraine, they're having this crazy war with Russia, and then you go over there, you go to the front lines of Ukraine, and it's completely peaceful. There's no shooting. It's just normal. And then you're thinking, what is going on? And I have the same reaction because how people talk like on Twitter or whatever, it's like these people are everywhere. Like they're unavoidable. Like you're gonna have to be ducking and diving and weaving to avoid them, and they're hitting U.S. citizens by accident. Blowing doors open with C4 and stuff. Never seen it. Never seen it. Not. I mean, not a single time. And it's just mind blowing because these videos motivate people, like the guy, to kill people, shoot them with like a rifle with a scope on it. But when you go out, when you actually, you're not watching these videos, which could be completely, as far as I'm concerned, just completely fake. It's completely like some deep fake AI thing because it's like I mean, I'm going out. I'm not just going out to like random streets. I'm going to sensitive places. Like I'm going to like military bases, Coast Guard barracks or whatever. Going to NSA buildings, like federal buildings, and there's no fucking presence. There's no evidence. I went to Trump Tower and there's one NYPD cop car parked out front and doesn't even have anybody in it. It's like I'm walking around like areas where they have a ton of people from all sorts of countries that probably maybe shouldn't be here. I don't know. Like Mexicans, Dominicans, Egyptians, Iraqis, fucking Salvadorians, Argentinians, Ecuadorians, like just across the board. Nothing. Nothing. If you see people from fucking Afghanistan, nothing. There's no. They don't care. There's no enforcement or whatever. And yeah, who's paying for this, by the way? Like, because I've seen a lot of like Kristi Noem PR videos have her like standing with a megaphone outside of an MRAP. She's covered by yeah, she's shutting out. She's like blah, 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 yelling through a megaphone, behind like fucking three APCs and bulletproof glass because she's a coward. She wouldn't stick her head out for a moment where it could get taken off. And keep in mind, you want to talk, like you think like maybe I turned liberal because I hate Donald Trump. No, it's not the truth. It's that Kristi Noem, if you believe like in the Second Amendment or whatever, if you believe like in our court system or the right to own a gun and to be treated fairly, regardless of your socioeconomic status or your connections or whatever, in a court of law, I dare you right now to take a 12 gauge shotgun or a 20 gauge shotgun. I want you to go out and just go to your nearest school bus stop and just, well, if you want to follow Chris, go to your nearest bus stop for school children and just rack that thing and fire off a couple rounds. Let the pellets fly over to the bus stop where the kids are. See what happens. See what happens. See what you get charged with. See how the police say. Until the police say I was shooting my dog that went respond to my commands. Yeah, my dog was talking about the Epstein files. Just shoot the dog. Just let the pellets fly. Oh yeah, make sure that there's a construction site too, right next to the bus stop that has people working there, and just hit them with a couple pellets. Just wing it. Just fire off like 3 rounds, 3 shells. See what happens to you. Number one, you're most likely going to prison for probably the next 15 to 20 years. Kristi Noem did the exact same thing. Not only did she spend approximately 0 days in jail, she was never detained. She was never even questioned. The police never even showed up. And this is a person who's now in charge of the Department of Homeland Security, under which falls ICE, under which falls many other agencies. And it's like this, if you believe in equal treatment, for whoever, like the elites and the little people and you believe in the Second Amendment, this is something that should fly in your fucking face because you can't do that. They can do that, but you cannot. You will lose your right to own a gun for the rest of your life. You will go to prison. You will have your life destroyed. By contrast, Kristi Noem not only doesn't have that happen, she gets to intimidate and blackmail people who refuse to give a real estate broker's license to her daughter. And then she gets to go on to become head of DHS, which she's totally unqualified for. Please tell me, like, her qualifications to inhabit that position. She is not and never has been law enforcement or in the military. She doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. She is completely corrupt. She's a sociopath. And then, I mean, you can flip it over to any one of them. Pam Bondi. I mean, keep in mind, all these people are doing insider trading at the same time with these tariffs announced. You can go look it up, look up their financials on like how much money they made off of these announcements or actions by Donald Trump. They knew ahead of time. Her, Pam Bondi, Marjorie Taylor Greene profited off it too. She's a controlled opposition, just piece of shit. She like has made a ton of money off of Donald Trump, and whatever like row that they have is completely fabricated. It's all to contain it into this not politically correct, but this palatable package. Like, instead of just flat out, just like saying things like I'm saying or whatever. And it's like, Donald Trump. You have the, what's with the opioid crisis thing? Because I've known people that have gone, like, serve this country overseas, risk their life, their health or whatever, been hit by IEDs, they've been shot, like all sorts of things. Even just like carrying something like a radio backpack or a heavy weapon like a M240, like all throughout Afghanistan, up and down all those hills, it fucks their back up. And doctors refuse to prescribe them pain medication. So what do? I mean, from what I've seen or what I've experienced, they immediately hit the street and go looking for fentanyl because the doctors won't help them. And the guy that I talked to was Army in Afghanistan. He was a team leader. He said if I didn't do this, I would shoot myself in the head because the pain is so bad I can't stand it and I don't want to live anymore. Doctors won't help him thanks to the opioid crisis. At the same time, you can buy a bag of fentanyl I literally walked in, I was in Portland, I walked into a supermarket and there's a huge bag of, frozen vegetables or whatever. It's huge. It's like I don't know. It's like the size of a sandbag. I've seen that for sale. That amount, that bag, like filled to the brim with fentanyl that's been diverted from like the pharmaceutical medical industry that you can buy for like $300. No problem. And it's like, number one, you have to ask yourself, how is it diverted? Because the only people that are legally, allowed to have and administer fentanyl are hospitals. And more specifically, like hospices, like people who have cancer and have very little or zero hope of recovery, to like keep them sedated and relieved of like some of their pain until they die. So how is this chemical meant for that getting onto the street? And you can say it's Mexican cartels or like whatever, like, sure, um you don't know anything because you're just reading things on the news and Wikipedia. You're not actually involved in any of this. You've never seen it with your own two eyes, much like the ice thing. You've seen it on a video or you've heard somebody else say it secondhand. I've seen it personally with my two eyes. And the fentanyl does not come from Mexico. It does not come from the cartels. It does not come from China. It doesn't come from any of these places. It comes from the United States of America. It's it's intended for these hospitals. Somehow magically it gets diverted. And so and this this is how things actually work in reality is people will have doctors on, and I'm talking like drug dealers that aren't even like at a super high level. We'll call it like a medium level. They'll have these doctors that, and multiple, not just one, that will divert this stuff. I mean, not just that, oxy, whatever you want. They don't give a shit at all. And these doctors, after they do that, after they sell these drugs like illegally, they divert them and whatever, they'll go back to the hospital and they'll tell that Afghanistan veteran, like, sorry, I can't give you like a Vicodin because of the opioid crisis. The same one that they're helping to create. And it's just, it's fucking mind blowing. And like they say, the most ludicrous shit. I've seen things like people have smuggled 11 kilos of cocaine into the United States and they got caught and they valued the street price at like $250,000. Okay. And then somebody else gets caught and they're smuggling in 20 kilos and the street price is valued at $1 million plus. I mean, think about it for a second. The mathematics of that. Like if it's very it's this is like elementary school. It's if 11 kilos of cocaine are worth $250,000, how is 20 kilos of cocaine worth like $1.5 million? That does not make sense. And it's like, yeah, they're hitting these drug boats and whatever, quote unquote drug boats, just like some fishermen or something from Venezuela. And it's not, you can buy cocaine for a gram of cocaine is cheaper than buying one disposable e-cigarette if you know the right people. And this is not coming from Venezuela. I've never seen in my lifetime cocaine come from Venezuela. The three countries it does come from, which all happen to be our allies, by the way, that we give a fuckload of money to, are Bolivia, Colombia, and Peru. Those are the three countries where all the cocaine comes from, not Venezuela. And it's like, instead of, we're not going to war with them, instead, we're giving them our tax money. Like, for instance, Colombia, like they're supposed to be using this money and this equipment to fight the quote unquote war on drugs and like burn these coca fields and deal with all of this stuff. And sometimes they do. Like the military does at times, yeah. But it's like, that it's being embezzled and like if that was actually true, like, I mean, put it into perspective. These guys are going through. Colombia is a small country. It's not a large nation, and it's rural, it's rugged, whatever. But it's like we successfully were able to destroy crops in Vietnam that were like feeding the Viet Cong coming down like the Ho Chi Minh Trail that were doing attacks in South Vietnam. And you're telling me, and and those plants are more resilient than coca plants. And you're telling me these guys with Black Hawk helicopters and flamethrowers and tanks and all this shit, everything that you could give them. They can't like eradicate like all of this production or even put a dent in it to where it's like you can get a gram of cocaine for the price of two double quarter pounder with cheese combos at McDonald's. You know, it's
Nation's fucked. It's gonna spread. It's gonna spread.
yeah, fire spreads everywhere. But it is ridiculous. You have, I mean, right. You get pushed into this corner. I'm in a city where there's one job in the entire city. Imagine that. Like, imagine you live in a place that has 50,000 people, and there's one job working at a Planet Fitness front desk. Nobody else is hiring. And part of the reason for that is because the government, especially in California, taxes the fuck out of you to where the smart people, like the immigrants, like especially the Asians, what they'll do is they will have their family work at the business and keep them off the payroll. They'll pay them in cash, no tax. Pretend that they don't work there. It doesn't exist on paper. And they'll make it look like the business is losing money. And they're really like pocketing the difference. It's like, and of course, if you're not part of their family or their clique or their racial group, you can't get a job there. They're not going to hire you because they don't want you on the payroll. Because then they have to explain that to the government. It's like, and your alternative is, these big corporations, these big companies. And if you, I mean, and when big corporations, there's defense contractors or whatever you can go get a job with. Sure. But I'm talking about like Walmart, McDonald's, things like that. Like, do you think if McDonald's is forced to pay $20 an hour minimum wage in California, do you think that they want to hire people? Do you think that the people at McDonald's corporate are like, let's hire a bunch of people in California instead of just replacing them with robots? No. Because these people are business oriented. Unlike the government, they understand like the reality of the economy. They're not going to it's simple mathematics. And then you have, this is another thing, you have like the fires where people, but people don't get it. These buildings that were there, like the government has put in these codes, like since those buildings were built. Like, let's say one of these buildings that burned down, like in these fires, was built in 1972. Just spitball it. Now, back then, they didn't have the laws that exist today. And the reason that house was standing was because it was grandfathered in. It was built before the law was made, and so it didn't have to conform to the law. Now, when these things burn down, you're not allowed to just rebuild them like as they were. No, you're crazy if you think that. They have to be rebuilt as Soviet bloc housing because of all of the new code. You cannot rebuild these structures. You cannot build this area back up to what it was. It's illegal. You will literally be fined. You will like get in huge trouble with the government. And at the same time, you have these people that are price gouging after these natural disasters, which is illegal. They made a law. They made laws, multiple laws, in California to prevent like things like that, and they're not enforced. Like rent has gone from $3,000 a month to $5,000+ a month, and the government doesn't do shit about it because what did they do? They made a law that they can't enforce, and that's what they love to do. They love to make laws that they can't enforce, or they enforce like very selectively. Like when you make a law, that has to deal with gun control, and it's like you have somebody that's has a stolen firearm tucked in their waistband, chambered, shoots at police officers, shoots at civilians, whatever, and they get catch and release. Like they throw them in jail, they get out in 2 hours, either own recognizance or like they have a bail set that's a pitiful amount of money, and it's absurd. And then when you, as like a law-abiding citizen, you legally own a gun, and you're just like going out to go shooting, going to the hunting or going to the shooting range or whatever, and you forget like the little trigger lock, or you forget to zip the case properly, or you put it in the wrong place, or you put the ammunition too close to the gun, then you're going to fucking prison. Like there's no love lost for you. But for these people that, you know, are like convicted felons that, are pistol whipping people or whatever, leaving guns. I heard stories. I know people. Some crackhead left a fucking loaded handgun on a tire of a food cart, like in the middle of a major metropolitan area. He's high as shit. He literally goes up to get food from the food cart. He has a handgun on him, like a Glock. He sets it down on the tire, like beneath the wheel well of this food truck. And then he's so hungry he forgets, so he leaves it there. There's no, they don't care. That's not a big deal. But if you store your gun improperly, that you legally bought after you've been background checked by the FBI and the ATF, then you're up shit creek. And it's absurd. And I'm not going to beat up on the Democrats or the liberals so much, because we've got a serious problem in the fucking White House, that's for sure. With this whole Epstein pedophile shit. It goes beyond that, though. That's almost in the back of my mind at this point, after all of the insider trading and all of the other stuff. Like, if you want to believe Donald Trump, if you believe like what he says is truthful or accurate or whatever, like calls Portland a war zone, I've been there. I've been to war zones. I've been to places that are very bad. The place is not. It's laughable. You can walk around in the middle of the night, like completely unarmed. Nothing will happen to you. You can. A attractive woman can walk out dressed however she wants. She will not get raped. She will not get robbed. She will not get murdered. And it's like, meanwhile, the real war zone is, and I'm not like, super like taking one side or the other, but look at fucking Gaza, look at fucking Iran. That's a war zone. That's a volatile area that, I mean, these people are not, they're not able to resolve their differences. And it's like, that would necessitate the United States stepping in as peacekeeper, as we've done like in the past in Bosnia, like in other places, in order to put a stop to this for humanitarian reasons, if nothing else. You don't need to take a side. We didn't take a side in Bosnia, but we're just trying to stop a genocide. We're trying to stop like, you know, a lot of bad shit. And over there, it's of no concern. It's of no concern. But Portland or Los Angeles or whatever is this huge big deal where they're deploying like thousands of Marines. They're spending like millions, if not billions, of dollars to do nothing. They stand around. I mean, it's really like the sweetest deal imaginable because what a lot of cops will do, especially LAPD, is that they will try to clock overtime on crime scenes. So, like when your family member gets killed, like either murdered, raped, car accident, beheaded, whatever, they'll jockey for overtime to stand around the crime scene and guard the perimeter where they do nothing at all, just so they can get paid more money. They see your dead family or friends as like a ski-doo, a new RV, down payment on their car or their house or whatever, paying their mortgage. Like they don't give a fuck at all. And I don't know where these ICE people are. I've not seen a single one. I've traveled 10,000 miles. I've not seen a single ICE agent. I've gone to look for them. And it's like, what are they really doing? What are they really getting paid for? Because, I mean, there's a fuckload of illegal immigrants that have not been rounded up. And I don't. And this all started. People don't remember how this all began. This all began at an Italian restaurant in San Diego. This will be lost to history. Is that they went in. Donald Trump is like, I gotta make it look like I'm keeping my campaign promises, and I didn't fuck a bunch of kids, so I gotta send out ICE or whatever, whoever the fuck they were, to go and raid an Italian restaurant to arrest the Mexican chefs, the illegal immigrants that paid minimum wage to cook some pasta. But they could have just walked in there, served like the warrant, and just like walked out with the people. But they don't do that because they're emboldened by Kristi Noem, who's a criminal herself, and Donald Trump, who's also a criminal. And I'm not talking about the election interference or whatever. He raped some kids. They're throwing flashbangs in there. They're blowing out windows. They're fucking tearing the place up. They're running in there with M4s, scaring the shit out of everybody. And it's like, that was the catalyst that started this whole fucking thing. And that was when, like, God knows, like 8 months ago, or was it 6 months ago? Something. And since then, it's like, they talk this huge game. They put like these Pokemon cards on Twitter and these funny meme videos, but you never see them. You never see them. If you go out and you actually walk around and touch grass, you don't see shit. You don't see Border Patrol even. And it's really, really something else. Especially, there's specific like highways and like areas where there's corridors, like for arms trafficking, drug trafficking, human trafficking, like whatever. Like one of them is the road going from like northern to southern California, because you have people that bring in drugs from Mexico, that take them north, and then you have people that steal guns and they bring them south and try to take them to the border. You don't see any police presence. Like I've seen more police presence in these places 20 years ago than I've seen now. And I'm talking local police. I'm talking highway patrol in Oregon, state troopers, um, sheriff's deputies, people working for the police department of like whatever city. You do not see that, let alone federal agents, whether it's ICE, DEA, FBI, ATF, whatever. They do not exist. People are entirely delusional and need to be checked into a mental hospital if they believe that ICE or whoever is all over the place and they're attacking everybody. And I'm not on the side of ICE. Like I hate their tactics and techniques. I think that they're fucking stupid and dangerous, and I think they create more problems for law enforcement. That it just they intentionally go out of their way to antagonize people around them. It's really much like Blackwater in Iraq, uh, like in Fallujah, going on these rape rallies and getting caught up by you know this, the insurgents and pulled out of their cars and burned and hung from a bridge. And then who do you have to send in after that? Is the U.S. Marines, people actually that have a stake in things, that have actually taken an oath to the Constitution, people that actually give it, they believe in what they're doing. They're not doing it for money or like, hey, I got hired to this agency or this company or whatever. And it makes it dangerous for them because you have these guys go in that just fuck everything up. They just antagonize everybody. They beat people. They throw flashbangs or whatever. And then you have actual police officers or like people that are local to the area that go in and they're seen as supporting them. I mean, they're wearing a uniform. They become a target. And it's just it's disgusting and irresponsible. And then for them to flip around, after creating this hazard, to say like back the blue and we love our cops and all this shit. It's just like, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? It's like you're already like, I mean, let me say, I can imagine what like what county is Waco in? Do you know off the top of your head? Waco County, maybe. I don't know. But whoever the local law enforcement is in Waco, or you know Ruby Ridge, probably wasn't too pleased with the FBI and the ATF showing up and killing a bunch of children. Because then, how does that reflect back on them? People want to kill them. I mean, they did, like the Oklahoma City bombing. It's like you have people that are out of control, that are off the leash, that are given free reign by Janet Reno or Donald Trump or Kash Patel or Pam Bondi or whoever to do whatever they want, and then you have people that are actually trying to do their jobs and like whatever, and they become targets because of these people. It's fucked up. And yeah, all of that money, yeah, that they send over to Israel or Ukraine or whatever, trillions of dollars. They send over all of the firefighting equipment right before there's a huge fire that destroys like all these people's houses, destroys all these livelihoods, shuts down all these businesses, and it's still like that. Like it's been more than 11 months, and if you go down to where this stuff happened, It's all foundation. It looks like you got hit by a nuclear bomb. It looks like Hiroshima. There's no houses. You can drive for 5 miles along PCH, along Malibu. There'll be no houses. They're gone, and they're not coming back. And it's just, it blows my mind. And especially on top of it, you have like people like Rick Caruso, who is a total piece of shit, who is jockeying for contracts constantly to build shopping malls and this and that and the other thing. I bet he's so glad that all those places burned down because now he can buy them up for cheap. You can go up and buy up a bunch of property in Malibu and rebuild it as whatever the fuck he wants, a restaurant or whatever. And it's like, who's looking into this guy? Why does he have like a private fire department protecting his property while everybody else is sucking shit? And these people are not poor, in Pacific Palisades or Malibu or whatever. Obviously, it's like why have they not hired private firefighters? Why didn't they? Because it's some sort of weird racketeering thing. It's actually probably illegal. And the only reason that Rick Caruso was allowed to do that was because he had a bunch of contracts with the city to build a bunch of shopping malls and a bunch of bullshit. And so when he did that, and like he was taking public water to, hose down his house that was neat, the hydrants ran dry. Fire department pulls up. They try to get some water out of those hydrants. They're dry as a bone. You can't. That's like on the level of terrorism. That's like on the level of like the fruit fly thing or like 9/11. Like you can't go and sabotage the water supply of a city to protect yourself while it's like under martial law and then just get away with it. If I went out and did that, if I went out and just fucking opened up a fire hydrant with a wrench pipe and started using it to try to protect my own house and just ran the thing dry, you better believe I would be in prison. You better believe it. And this guy, no, they don't know the shit about it. And it's like, you think it's one side or the other, like Democrats or like Republicans. If you look at the insider trading, if you follow the trail of money with like Donald Trump, like it's not going to Republicans only. I mean, went to Marjorie Taylor Greene and like a few others. There's Democrats like Steve Cohen or whatever his name is that are getting these tips. And ask yourself why. Why are Democrats getting insider trading information from a Republican administration, unless if they're somehow secretly like on the same page? They both went to the same island. Hey Steve, here's a tip for you. Sell your stock because I'm gonna make a big announcement about it. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. Blows my mind.